Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Skiddy back with, some more heat. Now, I recently was thinking about some stuff and I see that Capcom is, redoing the Resident Evil series and they say that they have like a little, remake project going on. So I figured I was like, like what games from Capcom should be remade, like official remake? So I got 10, 10 games that Capcom need to get the remaking ASAP. ASAP. First one, off the top, Mega Man Legends. Man, like I remember playing Mega Man Legend and was like an open world Mega Man game. And the aspect of building him up and traveling and the boss fights. I mean, the boss fights were off the chain. So yeah, Mega Man Legends. Number two, Dino Crisis. Enough said. Dino Crisis was one of the greatest survival horror games of our time. The first one was off the chain. Off the chain. I remember being so anxious because whenever you got injured, if you got injured a certain way, you could heal yourself, but you still needed to bandage yourself to stop the bleeding, because if you didn't and you went back into the room, the velociraptors was chasing you because they were smelling the blood. That was crazy to me. Number three, I have to give it to Onimusha. Period. All three of those games were hot. Every last one of them. Every last one of them. Again, another great survival horror game of the times, and that deserves a full remake. Capcom, get it together. Then we got Asura's Wrath. Now, Asura's Wrath is basically, your beat 'em up game, but it had a great story. The graphics were off the chain. The fights were just craziness. Like, whoo! Like, definitely should have made an anime off of that. I would have watched that, but I think Asura's Wrath definitely needs a remake, hands down. Another one, Okami. That game is beautiful. Could you imagine that game now on the next gen? And I'm not talking about these remastered HD Johns. I'm talking about a full remake, like a remake, just like Resident Evil 2 and 3 and 4 is getting. I'm talking about a full remake, new graphics, tweak the story a little bit, still make it solid. Yeah, Okami. Next one, Rival Schools. Rival Schools was my stuff. Like, I know there's a few people that didn't play it. I think there's a few people that played it, though, for the most part. I think there's more than a few people that played it because it came out with a second game on the Dreamcast called Project Justice. But Rival Schools, it was a fighting game where there were certain schools. They had, you had a prep school, you had a sports school, you had your, regular school, and there was different other schools that all, had like fighters from there that did their own thing. And I'm telling you, like, the story was crazy. But mostly people play fighting games for the action. But the combo system, off the wall, definitely. Rival Schools needs a remake. All right, coming in again, Strider. Now, they tried to remake Strider. I think it was around like 2013, 2014. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't what it should have been. Like, Strider, I remember playing Strider on the Nintendo. That game was crazy. The difficulty on that game was crazy. You had to do a lot of back and forth. It was a story, though. It was a deep story. Even the Strider that came out in the arcades and in Sega Genesis, it wasn't as, I guess, RPG-esque as the one on Nintendo, but you still had to, strategize how you went across the board because you get hit up real quick on Strider. But yeah, the remake that came out 2014, 2013, I think it was rushed. I think it was a rushed idea, and it should have been more time to it. But yeah, definitely bring back Strider now. Let's go. Let's get it together. Another one. This is another fighting game. And the game is called Star Gladiator. The second one on the Dreamcast was called Plasma Sword. Star Gladiator, fighting game. It was kind of like a space Soul Calibur, if you will. But again, it had a great concept. The gameplay was off the chain. Hayato, he was the man back in the day. He was the man. But then you had the ultimate bad guy, Bittelstein. That was my boy. But who I played with was the bull Kappa. That's my boy. And then you had Saturn, who had the rings. But then when you press back, he would do the moonwalk. That was my stuff too. Yeah. So definitely, Capcom, get it together. Star Gladiator. Now, this one's a personal favorite of mine. Well, the last two that I'm about to say are a personal favorite of mine. Hands down, there would be no Asura's Wrath if it wasn't for God Hand. I don't care what you say, God Hand is one of the hidden treasures of Capcom games. It was your beat 'em up game. You could customize your combos. You could customize, your wares and stuff like that, like a beat 'em up RPGs type game. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's from an anime, the game God Hand. But either way, man, that needs to be remade. The heat needs to come back. Last but not least, this is one of the most underrated games that I've ever played coming from Capcom, period. And it's called Chaos Legion. Now, let me explain Chaos Legion. It basically kind of has like a Devil May Cry type vibe. Combo system is kind of similar. Definitely its own thing though. It's definitely its own flavor. You could defeat the demons, and certain demons, certain type of demons, certain ones were certain types. Like there was this big one, I remember he was a shield demon. So whenever you like stole their essence or stole their soul, you could like bring them on to help you fight. So like there was an attacker type, a shield type, and then there's launcher type demons that, shoot from a distance. It was crazy. Chaos Legion, again, one of the most underrated Capcom games that needs a remake, hands down. So yeah, that's my top 10 Capcom games that should be remade. I'm talking about remake, not remastered, HD, none of that. I need a full remake. We need some tweaks in the stories, juice in the graphics, and maintain that gameplay. So this is your boy Skiddy. Again, don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Tell us what you think. And also tell us the Capcom games that you want to see remade. All right? Signing off.